Hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorial on machine learning. So in the last video, we have discussed about the maximum likelihood hypothesis and least square error hypothesis. So in that, we came to conclusion that if uh, any hypothesis whose least mean square error is very less, then that hypothesis we are considering it as a maximum likelihood hypothesis. So where the error is very less. So for that purpose, we have calculated the least mean square error which is applied to the maximum likelihood hypothesis, and we have found out that so this formula where we should have minimum error when it considered to this target value and the hypothesis value. So if we subtract target value with the hypothesis value, we should get the minimum value. Okay, that means the error is minimum here. Such kind of hypothesis we are calling it as a maximum likelihood hypothesis. In the today's lecture, we will see what is maximum likelihood hypothesis for predicting probabilities. Okay. So the problem setting here is very similar to the previous problem setting. So if you go to the previous video, I have explained what is problem setting of that previous maximum likelihood hypothesis and least mean square error. So everything remains same here. Okay. So only thing is, in the previous video we wanted to determine the how to apply least mean square error to the maximum likelihood hypothesis to find out the maximum likelihood hypothesis. Now here in this video we will apply the non-deterministic technique or probability function, that is f. X is the input which is given to, or you can call it as a input space, and its value, input value, varies between 0 to 1 because it is a probability, and you know that probability value it varies between 0 to 1. So x is nothing but the instance values or input values. Okay. So for example, the instance space x might represent a medical patient in terms of their symptoms. So this is the input value, we are taking it as a medical patient's inputs. So in terms of their symptom, and their function f of x might be 1 if the patient survives from the disease, and 0 if patient is not survived from the disease. Okay. So alternatively, this x might represent a loan applicant in terms of the past credit history also. So we had here he is taking another example where x might also represent a past credit history, and f of x might be 1 if the applicant is successfully repays the loan, and if it is 0 if it is not, or if the applicant is not repaying his loan. Okay, so in both cases we might well expect f be the probabilistic value. Okay, so here this is the first example. Here he has taken a medical patients, and in the second example he has taken the loan history of the applicant. For example, among the collection of patients exhibiting the same set of observable symptoms, we might find that 92% of survival and 8% do not survive. Okay, survival we will represent it as 1, and 8% so does not survive, and we will represent it as 0 in terms of probability. This unpredictability could arise from our inability to observe all important distinguishable features of the patients, or from some genuinely probabilistic mechanism in the evolution of the disease. Whatever the source of problem, the effect is that we have a target function f of x whose output probabilistic function of the input, whose output is a probabilistic function of the input. So given this problem setting, so this is the problem setting which has been given. Two example he has taken. One is a medical patient in terms of the symptoms, and another one is a loan applicant. Okay, and for medical patient he has given the data, 92% survival rate and 8% that do not survive, and for this we have to apply the maximum likelihood hypothesis, or we have to find out the maximum likelihood hypothesis for this kind of input probabilities. Okay, so given this kind of problem setting, we might wish to learn a neural network whose output probability f of x equal to 1. So for this we need to construct our neural network which is a real valued function. So we know that our target function f dash of x, and x varies from 0 to 1, and the probability value of f dash of x should be equal to 1. Okay, so 1 means always we want our target that patient should be survived, not he should not die because of the symptoms. So in the above medical example, X is a one of those indistinguishable patient of which 92% survival. So we can write in terms of percentage here 0.92 because we are taking the probability value, and 8% that is nothing but 0.08. Okay, so value for this 92% is 1, and for remaining 8% the value is equal to 0. How can we learn f dash using, say, the neural network? One obvious brute force way would be the first to collect all the observed frequencies of ones and zeros for each possible values of x, and then train the neural network to output the target frequency for x. So what we will do here is, first we will take all patients data where the observed frequencies are 1, and we will take all the patients data where the observed frequencies are 0, and we will train it to our neural network, and then we will give one more extra values to the neural network so that our neural network can classify whether the patient can survive or he can die. So if it is survival, it will give the result as 1. So if patient is not surviving, it will give the value as 0. Okay, so as shall we see below, we can instead train the neural network directly from the observed training data of f, yet still derive the maximum likelihood hypothesis f dash. What criteria we should optimize in order to find the maximum likelihood hypothesis for f dash in this setting? The answer to this question is, we must first obtain the expression for p of d given h. Already we know that the data or the training data, it is the there are couple of attributes. Okay, one is the instance value, another one is a target value. Okay, where this di, d1 up to dm, d1, d2, d3 up to dm, it is called as data, observable data. So its value varies between 0 to 1. Okay, and x1 is nothing but the value in input values. Okay, in input instances. So recall the maximum likelihood hypothesis, that is for least square error analysis. In the previous section we made it simplifying. Okay, if you go to my previous video, we have simplified the equation where we have not taken e raised to something term. We have, instead of that, we have taken it as ln, and ln when we apply ln, e raised to term will get cancelled. Okay, or its value is equal to 1. Thus treating both xi and di as a random variables, and assuming that each training example is drawn independently, then we can write p of d given h as p of d given h. I varies from 1 to m because it has two attributes, a couple of attributes in this. One is xi, another one is di. So here he has written xi comma di. I can write it as di bar h because for each of the attribute values which is associated with 0 or 1, we have certain hypothesis. Okay, so if 1, we will consider that hypothesis, and that hypothesis is very good. If 0, we will not consider such cases. Okay, because our target is always 1. So it is reasonable to assume furthermore that the probability of encountering any particular instance xi is independent of the hypothesis h. Xi actually it is independent of hypothesis h, but di is a dependent value on the hypothesis because di value varies between 0 to 1, and we know that hypothesis target value is 1. So di is a dependent variable on the hypothesis, xi is an independent variable on hypothesis. Then we can further write this expression as p of d given h is equal to, it is summation actually, summation I varies from 1 to m, p of xi di given h, and we can rewrite this as, by applying the maximum likelihood hypothesis, we can rewrite it as p of di given h comma xi into p of xi. Okay, so we have applied here, what we have applied? We have applied the independent value, because as you can see xi is an independent value and di is a dependent value. So we can multiply the independent value attribute to the p of d given h comma xi value. Now what is the probability of p of d given h xi comma xi of observing di equal to 1 for a single instance of xi? Okay, so for a single instance of xi, we can tell it as its value, di value, if it is equal to 1, then the result is h of xi. Okay, so if it is equal to 1, then the result is h of xi. Otherwise, when di value is 0, so because we know the di value ranges from 1 to 0, right, or 0 to 1 you can say. When it is 0, P of d given hi is it will give the value as 1 minus h of xi. If it is 1, directly we can write it as h of xi. So you can easily easily remember like this. Okay, whenever di value is equal to 1, that means we want it as a target hypothesis. Target hypothesis value should be 1, so it is target hypothesis h of xi. Whenever di value is equal to 0, you just negate it in terms of because when we negate in terms of probability, it becomes 1 minus something. Okay, so it becomes 1 minus h of xi. Okay, so in order to substitute these values, okay, these values we will substitute in the previous this equation, 6.8 equation. Then we will get it as di given h comma xi is equal to h of xi raised to di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di. Okay, and then further you can simplify it as or we can apply this formula 6.9 as well as 6.10 in the previous formula, that is in the previous one. Then we will get it as d of p of d given h equal to summation I varies from 1 to m h of xi raised to di 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus t into p of xi. So in this equation, in the 6.8 equation, we have substituted this values. Okay, p of di given h comma xi, here we have substituted it, and we know we don't know still value of this p of xi. Okay, so what is this value p of xi? We can consider it as constant. Okay, because it is independent of the hypothesis, because it does not depend on any hypothesis, so we can represent or we can consider this as a constant. So the remaining value is R max h belongs to capital H, I varies from 1 to m, h of xi di into 1 minus h of xi raised to 1 minus di. Okay, so the expression on the right hand side of the distribution, so on the right hand side of the distribution or the equation 6.12 can be seen as a generalized binomial distribution. This equation we are calling it as a generalized form of binomial distribution. Okay, so the expression in equation 6.2 describes the probability that flipping each of m distinct point will produce the outcome d1 to dm, assuming that each point xi has a probability h of xi of producing the heads. Okay, so as in the earlier case, we will find it easier to work with the log of likelihood yielding. Okay, so what here we have done is we have applied the log to the base e on the both side. So then we got the equation as h of ml equal to R max h belongs to capital H summation I varies from 1 to m di ln of h of xi plus 1 minus di ln of 1 minus h of xi. So this equation is our maximum likelihood hypothesis when the probabilities or when probabilities are given, when the probability values are given in between 0 to 1. Okay, so this equation is very important here. So and then we have to calculate p of di given xi. So p of di given xi gives two values. One is h of xi because it is our target value when di equal to 1, and when di is not equal to 1, that is when di equal to 0, you just reverse it in terms of probabilities, that is 1 minus h of xi, and these both value you should apply here. Okay, and then p of xi is independent value which is not dependent on the hypothesis. We are considering it as constant or we can drop it. Then the equation becomes like this. Okay, and this is your equation of maximum likelihood hypothesis when the probabilities are given, probability values are given. Okay, right. So next I will explain this in another video, this gradient search for maximum likelihood hypothesis. We will directly go to one of the very important concept here, that is called as Naive-Bayesian classification, because definitely we will get one question on this Naive-Bayesian classifier. Okay, so this Naive-Bayesian classifier is one of the classification technique which is we can say it as a direct classification, where if we give the input value, if any number of mix of inputs values are there, then it will separate it as a cluster. For example, if we give the value of consider in the training data if we give the values like this, some cancer patients, some heart patients, some other diseases patients. So when we apply Naive Bayesian classifier to that kind of target values, what it will do, it will classify heart patients separately, then other problems separately, then cancer problems separately, like this. Okay, classification. You already know what is classification. Okay. So Naive Bayesian classifier is very helpful to classify. If large set of inputs are there, then we will classify on a particular attribute values. Okay, to reach our target function. Right. So as you can see here, one highly practical Bayesian learning method is a Naive Bayes learner, often called as Naive Bayesian classifier. In some domain, its performance has been to be comparable to that the neural network and decision tree learning. So in some cases, what happens if we apply the Naive Bayesian classifier for a particular kind of algorithm or a program, then Naive Bayesian classifier is giving very good result when compared to artificial neural network and decision tree learning. So in this section, what we will do is we want to classify a large text document. So in that text document, it may have the vowels or the consonants or the sentences and everything. So what our objective is, we will apply the Naive Bayesian classifier so that it has to classify the textual data correctly. So numbers or alphabets or nouns, pronouns, each of this it has to classify it correctly. So in such cases also we can apply Naive Bayesian classifier to classify the correct input data. Okay, and this is the maximum of posterior hypothesis for Naive Bayesian classifier. So it is nothing but argmax V j belongs to V, P of A1 comma A2 so on up to AN given Vj into P of Vj. So this is nothing but simply our maximum of posterior hypothesis that we have studied in the Bayesian learning. Okay. Alright. Okay, so this is the formula for Naive Bayes classifier. Please go through this formula. Okay, and so go through the theory, because theory I have already discussed in the previous videos also. Bayes classifiers and everything, Bayesian learning. So same kind of theories are there. So I'll directly jump into the problem. Okay, so the problem is this, and we want to classify here whether on which kind of particular day the Aldo we can play the tennis or we cannot play the tennis. So same example that we have taken for ID3 algorithm and other things. So this is the input data where it contains the training example for play tennis, which is having 4 attribute and 1 decision. Okay, so these are the 4 attribute values, and we have taken the data for up to 14th day, and this is our result of that particular days. Okay, so first step what we will do is, so we will take each attribute. Okay, and we will see how many days he can play and how many days he cannot play. Okay, on the each attribute. So which is the first attribute here, outlook. Take the first attribute, and how many values are there in the outlook. So we have 3 different values for outlook. One is sunny, another one is overcast, another one is rain. So write it. So sunny, overcast and rain. So how many sunnies are there? You can see 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5. So 5 sunnies are there. Okay, so out of this total values, so I can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 sunnies. So as you can write here, and out of that, so how many yes are there? Okay, total number of yes. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So total number of yes in the total data set is 9. And how many sunnies are saying you yes? Okay, how many sunnies? You can check it like this. How many sunny values are giving the result as yes? And it has the yes values are written in red. Okay, so that we can distinctively classify it correctly. So as you can see here, 1 and 2. Okay, so hence the probability of playing yes when it is sunny, that is equal to 2 by 9, where 2 is a sunny value when it is yes and total yes values are 9. Okay, so then what are the sunny values which is giving me no? So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 out of how many no's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of 5 no's, we will get it as 3 no's. So 3 by 5. So total you add together, what is sunny value? So total it is 2, here it is 3. So total 5 sunny values are there. Like this you can classify, or you can cross verify also. Similarly, you do it for overcast and rain. Okay, this is one attribute. So take the second attribute, that is temperature, and check how many values are there. So I can find 3 values here again: hot, mild, cool. Okay, again same thing. So hot, how many yes and how many no's. For mild, how many yes, how many no's, like this. So you classify each and everything. So lastly, you write here probability of play yes is 9 by 14. Okay, out of 14 data set, we got 9 as yes. Okay, so it is 9 by 14, and how many no's? It is 5 by 14. And then next phase is like this. So if a new instance is given, suppose on 15th day 15, a new instance, right? So it has been given as outlook equal to sunny. The outlook value he has given it as sunny. Next, temperature value he has given it as cool. Then humidity value he has given it as high, and then wind value he has given it as strong. So on this day you have to predict whether he can play the tennis or not. So for this, what we can do is, first we will check if outlook value is sunny, how many yes are there. Okay, first you check outlook values are sunny, because he only given in the example outlook value is sunny. You should only look for sunny from the table. Okay, so on sunny I got 2 out of 9. Okay, 2 out of 9. So I have written here 2 out of 9. So similarly, you should not only write yes, because there may be chances are we may get no also answer. Okay, so also please write no also. How many no's are there for sunny from the table? So it is 3 by 5. Okay, so write it 3 by 5. Similarly, you refer it for cool. One you have to write it as yes, another time you have to write it as no. Similarly, for high also you have to write it as yes and no. And for wind value, that is equal to strong, for that also you should check from the table how many yes and how many no's are there and write its value. So then what is its value? This value is nothing but total yes. Okay, total out of the 14 data set, how many yes, total yes are there? I have written here already, that is 9 out of 14, 9 yes are there. So same thing I have written 9 by 14. And similarly you write how many no's are there from the total data set, that is 5 by 14. And next is, don't you just write this MAP rule, that is maximum of posterior hypothesis rule. This is just nothing but the multiplication of all these things. Okay, you multiply all these things. 2 by 9 into 3 by 9 into 3 by 9 into 3 by 9 into 9 by 14. If you just multiply, you will get the result as 0.0053. And similarly, P no of x dash. P no of x dash. So nothing but the multiplication of all this, and you will get the value as 0.0206. So out of this two, which is having highest probability? So highest probability is no. Okay, no, which is 0.0206. So hence the answer for this instance, new instance on day 15 is no, he cannot play the tennis on that day. So the answer is no. So similar way, he can give the value 16 day value, 17 day value, 18 day. He can give any kind of value. You have to just refer a table, write how many yes, how many no's are there, then multiply yes and multiply no's. Okay, and check the yes and no value. Anyone is highest out of this. Okay, maybe yes is highest or no may be highest. The highest value you have to write it as output. Okay, so this is exactly the Neo-Bayesian classifier value. And if you want to check the correct value, or if you want to check the conditional probability, we can also calculate the conditional probability. That is nothing but, so you take how many, what's the output of no? Output of no is 0.0206 divided by 0.0206 plus 0.0053. Okay, you do this, you will get the value as 0.795. This is the conditional probability. Okay, so similarly you can calculate the conditional probability for no. Here we have calculated for no. Similarly we have to calculate for yes. Okay, conditional probability of yes. So how to calculate it? So it is 0.0053 divided by 0.0053 plus 0.0206. Then definitely you will get some answer, that is 0.21 something. Okay, so when we add this conditional probability of no plus conditional probability of yes, we should get answer as 1. Okay, we should get the answer as 1. So like this you can cross verify whether the answer is correct or not. Okay, add the conditional probability of yes as well as conditional probability of no, and if addition will give you the result as 1, should give the result as 1 only, then your answer is correct. Otherwise you have done some mistakes in the question. Okay, so this is about the Naive Bayesian classifier, as well as I have discussed about the maximum likelihood hypothesis for predicting probabilities when the probability values are given. Okay, so that's it from the video. So you please go through all these videos, because you for your syllabus, second IE syllabus, it is there. Okay, so thank you very much.